Hey, you're watching GearWire.com. I am Owen. We're at Pitchfork Music Fest 2010 with Geoff from Free Energy, and thanks for joining us.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
So what's your role in the band?
I play guitar, mostly rhythm guitar, and the dual leads with Scott, and just work on sounds.
And what is your guitar? What do you play?
Scott and I actually both play Epiphone Les Pauls. Epiphone Les Pauls, but we switch out the pickups. We use Burstbuckers by Gibson instead of the standards because we like a heavier signal coming out of the guitar to push.
Is there a reason that you guys went for Epiphones other than like the price, or like as opposed to Gibsons?
We can't afford Gibsons. Yeah. Number one, Gibson, call us. But beyond that, a lot of the thing about the Epiphones is some of them are put together really well. They're just inconsistent. So if you play a bunch of them, you'll find one that is a good one. You know, and they vary year to year. And the main thing is the electronics are kind of inferior. Like I was saying, we substitute in better pickups. And I need better tuners for my new guitar. But yeah.
So did you swap the pickups out yourself?
Yeah.
And what amp are you guys, or what amps are you guys playing through?
Scott and I are both right now playing through Fender Super Reverbs. It's 410s. The challenge is to we're playing a lot of small places right now, and to have a big guitar sound but not piss off the sound engineer.
Yeah.
Because most great sounding guitar amps take a lot of volume and gain to sound good.
Yeah.
So we found a sweet spot with these where they can sound pretty rich and pretty bitchin', but not too out of control for the sound engineer.
Is that just finding a place like just knob settings?
A big thing for us is gain loading, just how you waterfall the gain. So like I said, the way I play is always volumes up, tones up. I don't need any knobs on the guitar. I want just a pickup signal full. Switch out some hotter pickups so we have a really heavy signal going down the line. And then I usually use a booster to just push the front end of the amp even harder so that you can get a super saturated, harmonically rich sound with not that much volume. You know?
Are those single channel amps, or what? How are they set up?
They're 2-channel, but we've been using them with just one. Yeah.
Is it just the dirty channel?
They're both the same.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, do they have? Is that Fender thing where it's one channel has the tremolo?
One has reverb and tremolo, and the other doesn't. So, yeah.
Have you ever experimented using hot plates or power soaks like that?
I've tried, and I've never been happy with it. You can saturate the amp, but there's a thinness and there's a brittleness to the upper harmonics that just doesn't work. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of the great players from the 70s were all using booster pedals to saturate their amps. You know, Brian May from Queen, his sound is basically there's this guy from England who makes these beautiful boost pedals, and Brian's sound is all just volume knob. How much am I pushing the amp? And with that different gain level, you just get different saturation and different harmonics opening up.
Right. And specifically, that's a clean boost, not a distortion pedal. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we don't. Scott uses a big muff for solos, and so do I. But for the general sound, the thing about distortion is it tends to make things just chunky and muddy, and we're looking for that spot where it's still chimey and you've still got rich harmonics, but the amp is starting to saturate and fill up.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of our holy grail.
Yeah. Do you mark the settings on your amp when you get that?
In general, we know what we're after, but for some stages you have to adjust.
Yeah. So what does the rest of your pedal board look like, or how many pedals do you play through?
It's pretty straightforward and simple. I use 1 or 2 boosters. I use the MXR booster, which is super cheap, sounds great. It's the same circuit as the MXR distortion pedal with 1 or 2 differences. They're almost the same pedal.
Okay.
And then I use a super hard-on by Zvex for the much more saturated, big, more AC/DC kind of chords. And then a big muff, and that's it.
Cool.
And Scott just uses a booster and a big muff. That's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about the recording a little bit. Where was the album recorded?
At DFA Studios. Yeah. James has a studio in New York.
Okay. And what did you guys record onto? I know that you guys are big vinyl buffs. Is that right?
Yeah, but James likes to use the computer.
Yeah. So you didn't record onto tape at all for the album? So what did you guys record into Pro Tools?
For the most part, yeah.
You know, how would you approach like guitar tone in the studio as opposed to live? Any differently?
It's a totally different game because in the studio, for the most part, small amps, you know, like 5, 10 watt amps that you, sometimes with one of those MXR boosters just to saturate it, but for the most part, tiny amps. In the studio setting, you can have within a 3-foot radius a bitching guitar sound, you know, but if you're on stage, it would sound awful. But we can put the mic right in there, and James is really into that too. And it's a pretty old school technique. I mean, I think a lot of the Jimmy Page stuff with Zeppelin was pretty small amps, just like finding that sweet spot. You don't, in the studio, you don't need stacks, you know, it's kind of overkill.